Are you thinking about starting or growing your own video production company? In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I wish that I knew before starting my own business so that you've got the best head start. Now, I've just noted these things down as they've come into my head, so they're in no particular order. So make sure you're paying attention and watch to the very end of this video to get the maximum value. Let's go. Something that would have saved me a lot of time and meant that I got paid on time more often is to use PayPal or go cardless or some kind of online software where it allows you to take payments. It means that you can increase your chances of getting paid on time, and it's also easier for the client to make those payments too. I used to go and do bank transfer only, and that's an absolute nightmare for clients who are on long-term retainers with you, which means that you're going to have to send them an invoice every single month, and you're going to have to manually do that. Just set up a direct debit through Go Cardless or one of those online platforms, and it just means that you get paid on time every time. Using online accounting software such as Xero or Free Agent or QuickBooks, there's so many out there, is going to save you, again, a bunch of time. And it also means that, unlike me, you don't have to sit there creating invoices manually by actually going and creating a PDF and sending that to the client. I don't know what I was thinking. That takes so long. Just pay the $24 a month or whatever it is and use a piece of online accounting software. It's going to help you understand your finances and actually send invoices super quick. Next up, shout outs mean nothing. You'll get so many people saying, well, you do this for exposure and so on and so forth. Now, you need to be really careful here. I am a huge advocate of the free to fee model that we teach in our academy, where basically you build up your portfolio and you're going to need to do a number of things for free to build experience and so on and so forth. But just be mindful of when that needs to change. For instance, if you already have a portfolio in your current industry that you're doing lots of work in, for instance, restaurants and hotels, let's say, then how many more pieces of free work do you need to do before you start getting paid in that particular industry? So just think about that and think about how it's going to benefit your business. If it's a win-win, then absolutely do it, but just be mindful you can't run a business constantly doing free bits of work for just a shout out from influencers or so on and so forth. On your journey, there's going to be loads of hidden costs that you need to be prepared for. So having a little bit of buffer and not just spending all of your money on the latest camera gear will certainly help you grow your business faster. There's things like we have in the UK, like GDPR rules, where you have to pay a certain amount per year to these companies and so on and so forth. Lots of hidden costs. Just be aware of that and have a little bit of a buffer, because these things will crop up and it will end up costing your business a little bit of money. So keep a nice little padded buffer in your business bank account. Number 5 is something that you only learn literally with lots of experience or hating your past self. And that's just to have much better general organization. I wish that when I started out, I just created a simple system from day one, got myself a filing cabinet, so all my paperwork and my receipts and everything was just in one place and it was all neat. And again, this is something that doesn't really happen until you grow more and more, but it's something that your future self will thank you for if you take a little bit more time and get organized from the very start and the very beginning. I wish I had done that, because time is effectively money. Fortunately, if you run a business, you're going to face this problem. And that's just, I wish I was more aware about what to do when people don't pay you. I was very scared initially to threaten any kind of legal action, because I thought, well, I need clients. I don't want to burn this bridge because I need the work. I need clients. You don't want to work for people who don't pay you. So just straight away, if they're not paying you on time, send them a nice reminder, send them another nice reminder. And then when time starts getting on, just say, hey, just so you know, the next step, if you don't pay this by this date, I will be getting my legal team involved, and that's where you let them deal with that, and they will go through a whole process. So threaten legal action, don't be scared to do so. You don't be worried about burning that bridge. But yeah, when I was starting out, I really wish that I kind of knew that people wouldn't pay you, and you were well within your rights to do something about that. And that moves nicely on to my next tip, which is having a contract in place. If you use contracts, and there's pros and cons to this actually. We don't always have contracts for our clients. For our long-term retainers we do, for some short projects we don't. And that does come back round to bite us in the arse. If you can have a very simple contract that you send to every one of your clients that just gets them to sign to say, they are agreeing to pay you X, and in return, you are agreeing to deliver this, That's just a nice little contract that's going to make sure everyone's in the same place. And I still wish that we do that more now. That's something we need to work on. But if I was starting out again, it's certainly something I would implement from day one. Always have detailed emails so that communication is clear. It also gives you something to fall back on. There's been times where we haven't had a contract in place and we've needed to threaten legal action for one reason or another, and emails has been the thing that we've been able to go to where it's documented exactly what we promised to do and what they agreed to do and so on and so forth. So when you come off a call with someone, make sure you document that in an email so it's written down. Hey, I'm just following up from our previous phone call just to document the fact that you said X, Y, Z. We promised to do X, Y, Z. Look forward to seeing you on the shoot or something like that. Become more confident. This is only something we've recently started doing, and I definitely wish that I started doing it a lot sooner. And if I started my business again, this is going to be one of those things that I implement from day one. Number 10, clients will come and go, but don't panic. That's the nature of having a business, and any kind of business for that matter of fact. But that goes to show that you should make sure that you're always doing sales, you're always outreaching to people, and don't let that funnel dry up, because when those clients do leave you, which I know all too well, if you haven't been doing any sales, there's nothing to fill that void, and it leaves you really panicked because you now need to fill a huge gap if your clients leave you all in one particular month. And I feel like some of these points feel quite obvious now sitting here, but when I was starting, I just think if I had known this, or someone had advised me, or someone had at least given me an insight to, hey, you should probably watch out for this, it would just been so helpful. So if you've resonated with any of the points that I've said so far, don't worry, there's still a lot more to come, but just let me know in the comments what ones are going to be your favorite. I'd really appreciate you taking some time to show the support on this video by liking and leaving a comment. Now, actually, when I started out, I found it very easy to make a lot of sales because my prices were low. I was able to speak to local businesses, and I could make a lot of sales quite quickly because I was relatively low risk and I was within everyone's budget. As time's gone on, what I really wish that I knew is that some sales happen quickly, some really within a day or two of speaking to the client, and some take years to go through. We're just about to finalize a contract with a client, a long-term payment contract on an RCP system, and that has taken about 2 years to get into place because it just hasn't been the right time for that business. And that is really important, just to understand that sales can be long and sometimes sales can be slow, but don't give up. Just keep pushing, and you will certainly be able to get the reward in the long term. Which takes me to the most important part of the sales funnel, and that is having leads. Without the correct contact details for the right person in the businesses that you want to approach, you can't even begin to make a sale without having that information. And you're going to need a lot of information too. I'll leave a link to my mini course in the description below if you want to know how to get thousands of leads every month. It's only $47, so it's probably worth you taking the time to check that out if you're looking to make more sales within your business. Tip number 13 is caused me a lot of problems in the past, and actually in hindsight I've probably actually lost a lot of clients as a result of it, particularly when I was in the early days of starting my production company. And that is to understand that the project is not always what you want it to be, but it needs to be what the client wants. And that's quite difficult going back and forth with the client sometimes. And you can advise from your creativity point of view, and you can advise as the expert in that industry, but ultimately it needs to tick the box for the client. If they want a video that supports the recruitment process, it needs to drive conversions. It needs to get more people recruiting within that business. You might want to do lots of fancy creative stuff, but if that doesn't fit the image of what that client wants, then it's not going to serve that end purpose. And actually, when I started out, I wanted to be creative. I wanted to do all these cool things, but they didn't actually deliver the results the client wanted because I didn't really spend the time listening to what the project needs were. Amendments are going to be a sticking point, and although I probably could have preempted that when I started my business, I didn't really realize how problematic they would be. And how we kind of overcome that now is being clear from the very start of the project, whether that's saying to the client, we'll do this video for you and you get 2 sets of amendments, which basically means you get 2 emails that will make changes. Anything after that we'll charge for, or whether or not that's just talking about that and being clear on what the project is from the very start. So then when the client feeds back with some amendments, you can actually say, well, actually, this is not what we discussed in these previous emails, see this point here. And yeah, I just wish I knew when I started out in video production, actually how to articulate myself and how to address that earlier on, because I've worked on some projects that have had 20 to 30 emails full of amendments because the business owner has showed it to this person who showed it to this person and this person, and everyone's given their 2 cents, and I didn't know how to say, excuse me, this isn't on. We are now way over in terms of our editing time. We need to be charging for this. And in the times where I did say that, they said, well, you never said that there was a limit on amendments. And I was thinking, damn, you know what? I wish I had said that sooner. So now we always do. 15, charging for travel. I used to, again, not want to charge for travel because I thought that maybe if I did that, was that the done thing to do? Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Absolutely. Charge for travel. It's your time. You can charge that. Over here in the UK, we charge a standard rate of 45 pence per mile. And that's just what we will then charge the client. You might have your own different types of rates. That's fine. But just as something to think about in charging travel and getting some more value back. I know a lot of you are struggling with this next tip. Don't be scared to talk about money. If I started again, that's probably one of the things that experience has taught me, to bring that subject up, to talk money. And don't be afraid that I can guarantee so many of you have been in a position where you're afraid to bring up money because you're worried it's going to scare the client off. So you don't talk about money, and you either end up doing the project, or you end up just not really knowing that, the project date is coming up, but you haven't spoken about that all important thing, money. And then it becomes harder to bring up. And then it puts the power in the client's hand, because the client can go, oh, I was only thinking I want to pay you literally like, $100 or whatever, and they were going to lowball you, but you kind of have to accept it because you're so far down the track now. Don't be scared, just bring up money early on. It's an ordinary thing to talk about, and unfortunately that's only through experience that's taught me that. If I was starting again, I'd certainly bring it up a lot quicker. So we've covered a lot, particularly on setting up the business side of things. I just want to bring up another couple of points to do with actually the creative side. And something I wish that I really did from starting out is buying more hard drives. When you look at a hard drive and you think, oh, it's £100 for a couple of terabytes or whatever, you're then thinking, oh God, that's a lot of money. Invest in the hard drives and have multiple hard drives to back up on. If you only have one copy of the client's footage, you don't have a backup. If that hard drive fails, you've lost all of their work, and you need to ask yourself, what is that value to you? What does that do for your credibility? So invest in hard drives, have multiple hard drives, make sure you have a backup. Next up, have a good labeling and file structure. Your future self will thank you. I hate it, and I know for a fact the team hate me for it. If we have to go through old hard drives where we haven't laid things out properly, we don't have a clear file structure, and we're trying to grab a bit of work that admittedly I thought we'd never ever need again, but the clients now ask for it, it is a nightmare. We now uniform everything. Everything is laid out in a very strategic way. So in 5 years' time, when a client needs a bit of footage and we're going to charge them for giving them that footage, we can easily find it. So yeah, it's something your future self is going to thank you for. And then selling raw footage. At the start, I used to just give raw footage away for free. And I'm going to be completely transparent with you. We don't always charge for raw footage. It depends on a lot of factors. If a client comes to us saying they want these deliverables and they also want the raw footage, then okay, we'll factor that into the price. If they come to us after and they say that they want the raw footage, I'm not talking about project files here, but I'm talking about the raw footage, then depending on the scenario, we'll give it to them, but quite often we'll charge for it. But I want you to know that it's completely normal and okay within our industry to charge for raw footage. You might charge your day rate again, or you might just charge a nominal fee of a few $100s or a few £100, but it's completely okay to charge for raw footage if that hasn't been mentioned prior. So just keep that in mind and approach the conversation with the client. As we move on to tip number 20, please make sure that you've hit the like button at minimum, and let me know what you think in the comments below. It's the only true way that we know how well this video is doing and how much it resonates with you, so we know to do more of them or to dive deeper into some of the points that you mentioned. I love to hear back from the community, so please let me know. I'd much appreciate it. When I started my production company, you really think the grass is going to be green throughout the whole journey. And maybe you're aware there's going to be ups and downs, of course, but Something is the amount of false promises. And this is something that I still get a lot now. It's the promise of, do us a low rate because there's going to be a lot more work where this came from. It's going to be the promises of, if you could just do this for me, or if you could just do that, or, oh, we've got loads of projects coming in. Yeah, don't worry about that. You know, book these in. Don't count your chickens before they've hatched. There's going to be lots of things. And sometimes these aren't people being malicious towards your business. It's just the nature of business. Someone comes up with a good idea. They say, we need 10 videos for our business. And they come and find you and they say, we need all of this work. Do the first one for us and then we'll do all the rest. And then all of a sudden, the business shifts direction, or their business has a bad month where they have no money, or so on and so forth. Factors outside of anyone's control. And unfortunately, that means that you're on the chopping block and you no longer get the things that you've been promised. So yeah, just be a little bit skeptical. Don't get too ahead of yourself with excitement. Don't plan the success of your business on what you've got coming in. Just focus on the things that are actively booked in, and the money that you are actually owed is probably a good bit of advice that I would give to my younger self. Tip number 21, upselling. Upselling is really important, and you can be so focused on just selling video production, or just selling videos for TikTok, or just selling photography. Think about the upsell. Think about the next thing. How else can you help your client get to the next level? I wish I had implemented this sooner. Rather than selling just video production, that's your main offering. But, oh, hey, I noticed you also mentioned about social media. Do you have anyone that posts this content for you? Can I help with that? So on and so forth. Some of my Academy members have expressed a lot of interest in this next point, and that is subcontracting. It's something that a few of them said that they wish that they did when they started out, or did it sooner. They were very scared to use people because they might take their work. Now, if you can't fulfill a job for a client, then you're going to want a network of freelancers that you can rely on, because otherwise that client's going to go elsewhere anyway. So I'd much rather them use someone that you know and you have a good relationship for, and you can contract those guys to make sure they don't steal your work and so on and so forth. But it's just a nice way to make sure that that project still flows through your business, and that you don't just say no and they go find someone else and you never see the client again. So make sure you utilize subcontracting. I wish I did that sooner in my business. Having a routine and a work-life balance is something that when you're younger, you generally don't think about too much. Now, it's something that becomes increasingly important when time goes on. And for me, particularly, having a family now, working on a work-life balance is something that's been really, really important. And it's something that I would implement if I started this all again, and wish that I really took on board sooner, rather than working all hours when you start your business. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be days where you need to work 12 and 16 and 18-hour days. You just need to understand that, but you're going to reach burnout very quickly. And if you reach burnout, you're not going to want to do work. And if you're not seeing results, you're going to stop doing your business and you're going to give up, and then you're going to fail. So give yourself the opportunity. Don't burn out. For sure, do some longer days if you need to, but make sure you have a nice work-life balance. And that's something that I push within the Academy a lot. Build a business that works for the lifestyle that you want, not just being led by doing what you should do and work all hours of the day. Building relationships with clients is absolutely key. If you make note of their birthdays, send them a card at Christmas time and any other life events, those clients will look after you in return. Now, this is something that I have actually done since day one, but if you're not doing it, really understand that your clients are your world, your clients are your business, and to look after them and actually take an active interest in what they're doing will go a long way. When you start a video production company, you need to have a good understanding of the entire production process if you want your company to be successful. Making good content just isn't enough. You need to understand sales, production, account management, finances, and you need to wear a lot of hats. And that's really important, and actually something when I started my business, like many of you, you just focus on what you're good at, the production side of things. Of course, you might need to dabble in making a few sales, but actually, production makes up a very small amount. Before you even get your project, you need to have made the sale, so you need to become as efficient and as good good as you can in that sector first. Then you do the production. Then you need to be good at understanding the finances, the product margins, how the business growth is going, account management, and all of those things. That does take time, and I'm just still getting there now. And that's why I actively within my academy teach those things, because I know that for a fact you're really good at creating content and you're probably really passionate about that, but maybe you lack those other areas that are really important to getting your business to the next level. So we're on to the last 2 tips of this video, and something that I kind of wish I knew when I started out is focusing on clients first and then invest in equipment. And I see this with so many filmmakers. We're so quick to jump at buying the latest camera gear because we think, oh, bigger and better cameras, it means that we can do better work and we can charge more money. Those things simply aren't necessarily true. I guarantee that most of you buy a camera before you're actually at the ability of that level of camera, or you've exceeded the ability of your current camera. So focus on getting those clients, because those clients will bring in the money to help you invest. I unfortunately see a lot of people who go into a lot of debt investing in equipment when really you can just focus on the sales side and getting those clients in. I've always been in the positive in our business. We've never had to take out any loans or anything like that. So what we've done is we've landed the client, we've taken a 50% deposit, and then I've actually used some of that money to invest in equipment, whether it's audio or lighting, for that project. So I've taken that money, reinvested it, but I've always had the clients first because that's what's been my focus, and then I've invested in equipment once I've had the money. Like I said, leads are really important for this, knowing the right people to contact and having lots of them, because sales is a numbers game. So make sure you check out the Ultimate Leads formula. I'll link that below. Now, my final tip is to be prepared to justify things to clients. And this is something that in the past, we now preempt what the client might say, and we have things ready to go in case they ask those questions. And there's 2 main ways that you can price your project. There's value-based pricing, which I believe works better for more experienced people. And then you have day rate pricing, which is something that I actually advocate to a lot of people when they're starting out, because it provides a more of a uniform structure. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not getting paid for your value. And I talk about this in my course, how you can manipulate this day rate strategy to get the most value from your client. But that's for another video, I think, altogether. What I'm saying is if you are pricing up your services and you say this video is £2,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is, and the client says, how have you come to that? You need to be very quick to justify how you've got to that. Now, that might be a breakdown of things. For instance, one client recently said to us, Ross, this project's way more money than I thought it was going to be. How have you come to this price? And we were able to very quickly say, yep, no problem at all. We came to this price because of this, that, and the other. We bought these props that you said about. This was the pricing for this. And we were able just to very quickly show him. And he was like, great, no worries. I just needed to know that you weren't basically ripping me off or you've made a mistake your end. So be prepared for those things. Or even when you're talking to clients, again, just be prepared for any questions they might have. The more prepared you are, the more chance you're going to have for success. Remember, success is where opportunity meets preparation, and that's what you're trying to create right now. So what I want to know from you right now is, what is the one take home that you've had from this video? What's the one thing that you're going to implement, or would you like me to do a more detailed video about? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're just starting out, then why not watch our new series where we took a beginner filmmaker and we got him his very first video production client. I look forward to seeing you in that video.